police in Las Vegas found themselves in the middle of a UFO mystery last month after
Right across the yard.
To us. Big eyes. They have big eyes.
911, what are you reporting? We got someone or something crawling around out here. Did you see what it was? Was it a person or an animal? Or?
Yeah, one of my partners said they saw something fall out of the statue, so that's why I'm kind of curious.
What? I don't know. Do you see him now, sir? Yeah, I'm looking right at him. Okay, hang on. He's right. Is he in your yard, sir? Yeah, good. He's big. Okay, what's he doing in your yard?
Mythical Legends Podcast with your host Daniel Barnett.
And welcome to the Mythical Legends Podcast. Here we are for another episode. Now, I'm very, very excited about this one. We have a UK researcher with us today, and I can't wait for it. So, we have our normal co-host with us, Jill Roberts, my partner in crime, who does all the crime out in the forest with me. So I'm gonna invite her on. Hey, Jill.
Hey, hello. How are you?
I'm okay. You?
Here we are again. Yeah, good. Thank you. Yeah. I'm looking forward to tonight's podcast with the amazing, delightful John.
Amazing. So, but before we get on to John and who he is, we've done probably how many episodes? I can't count anymore.
Not really sure. Haven't been keeping count. We've done a few. We've had some amazing people talking to them, different experiences from the UK to the US.
World.
World. Very interesting people.
And I shall say to everyone out there, we have some very, very exciting stuff coming up. We have it has just been Christmas and it's coming up. We've got some amazing episodes, special bonus episodes, which are going to be amazing. And everyone who has seen the podcast network, everyone jump on there, and we should have a very, very good time. But let's get on to today's interview. So, as our co-host mentioned, it is Mr. Jonathan Downs who is going to be with us, and he is member of the CFZ and a cryptozoologist, and he's very, very knowledgeable in what he says. He was at our convention, so on Saturday, I believe, he's got an episode on his CFZ YouTube, and go and listen to that. And the title says "Annoying Daniel's Grandmother," so that should be very, very funny. But
I have forgiven him for that. Just.
Right, and before I get John on, I love the Christmas tree in the background, Joe.
Oh, wrong side. Where are we? It's Christmas. It's officially Christmas in our house, Daniel, as you know, because you helped in the tree yesterday.
Amazing. Right, let's get John on. So, hey, John, how are you?
All the better for seeing you two.
Good evening.
Especially your grandmother. She's the nice one of the two.
I would agree with that. Thank you, John. See, John and I are calling a truce now. We're ganging up against Daniel.
Well, that's not to everyone. That is not true. I'm ganging up against them. Right. So
I don't think you can gang up when there's only one of you.
No,
I may have secret admirers that are with me.
Okay.
Sure. Moving swiftly on.
What?
I said moving swiftly on.
Moving swiftly on, I agree, yes.
Yes, from the subject of your secret admirers.
Right. Okay, so let's move on to the actual topic for today's interview. So, John, could you tell me a little bit how you got interested into the cryptid world?
Well, it's simple. I was brought up in Hong Kong, which half a century ago was still ruled and governed by the British. And my father was one of the senior members of the Hong Kong government. And every Thursday, my mother would go into town, and she'd go and play tennis with her friends, drink coffee, and then go to the library. And she'd bring back thrillers from my father, picture books from my little brother, and animal books for me, because even at that age I was fascinated by animals. And one day she brought me back a book called Myth or Monster, and it completely and utterly blew me away. It was one of the great epiphanies in my life, together with when I first heard rock music and when I first discovered girls were different to boys. Those three things have basically governed my life, the direction that I've been for the last 50 years. Anyway, I went to school the next morning, and the teacher, who was a very frightening lady called Mrs. Alexander, who I used to think was incredibly old. She's probably younger than I am now, but she had a big shock of white hair, and she had a Northern Irish accent that I can't even pretend to do. But she said something like, "Good morning, boys and girls. What are you going to be when you grow up?" And she said, "What about you, Billy?" And Billy would say, "Well, I'm going to be a soldier, miss, like my father was a soldier in the army." And then she'd say, "George, what are you going to be when you grow up?" He said, "I want to be a train driver like my Uncle Billy." "Jonathan, what do you want to be when you grow up?" And I said, "I want to be a monster hunter, miss." And she looked at me down her glasses and said, "Look, boy, if you cannot learn your 9 times table, you are never going to amount to anybody, let alone a monster hunter." Well, the thing is, Mrs. Alexander, wherever you shall be in this world or the next, I still don't know my 9 times table. I still count on my fingers. And I've been a professional monster hunter for the last 35 years.
Oh, yay. Good for you. Excellent.
That is probably the most amazing introduction to cryptids and monsters, and so well done, John. That is probably one of the most unique stories I've ever heard. I'll say that.
It's
I'll say
totally
that.
true. Unlike quite a lot of stuff in cryptozoology, I didn't make up any of it.
Mm. But it's amazing how one small event in your life, isn't it, can turn your path to. If it sparks an interest in you and you follow it through, I think that's amazing.
Yeah, it was that one afternoon and evening in Hong Kong in 1968 basically pushed me down the path that my life has been pretty well ever since.
Yeah. Wow. That's
Wow,
great.
amazing, John. Right, so let's get into kind of your currentish work. So, could you tell us why you started CFZ and what the CFZ stands for?
Okay, CFZ is Centre for Fortean Zoology, and for those of you who don't know what Fortean is, there was a guy called Charles Fort who died in, I think, 1932, 1936, sometime in the 30s. And when he was about 18 years old, he inherited quite a lot of money from a dead relative. And he spent the rest of his life studying things that didn't fit into the accepted paradigms, news stories and discoveries which normal science, which accepted science, just wouldn't do anything with. And after his death, he hated the word Fortean, but after his death, a guy called Tiffany Thayer in America started up the Fortean Society, and it's been a thing ever since. And I first discovered Charlie Fort stuff in 1980s, I think. I had a proper job for a while. I had a proper job for about 10 years. And when I lost my proper job, I was a nurse. I worked in a old tumble-down hospital for people with what is now called learning difficulties. In my day, it was called mental subnormality. And I became a qualified nurse in that. After doing it for about 10 years, I had a massive, massive breakdown and went completely off the rails. And when I got better, I thought, I'm not going to do this anymore. I've spent the last 15 years doing stuff I didn't want to do. In fact, the last 20 years, because I went to school and learned all sorts of stuff that didn't interest me. And then I became a nurse and I did all stuff that I thought was doing the right thing, but now I'm going to do something I want to do. And about the only thing I could do, apart from play the guitar, was to be a writer. So I started writing and researching about mystery animals. Then one day, excuse me, the dog is slipping off my lap. I'll show you. I have a little Jack Russell sat on my lap, getting in the way. Come on, Archie Pig, get up. And one day I was sat on the shores of Loch Ness. I was up there because I had another job at the time. I was working for a rock singer who was much more famous in the 1970s than he was in the 80s and 90s when I worked for him. But he was on tour in Scotland, and I took a couple of days off the tour because I wanted to go to Loch Ness. And I was sat on a large rock on one of those little beaches on the south side of the loch. And I sat on a big boulder, and I suddenly thought, why the hell am I doing this? Wouldn't it be better if I actually started an organization for people around the world who are interested in this stuff? And so I did. And that's basically the story.
Wow.
It started off.
That's an amazing story.
It started off me, my first wife, and a little bloke called Dave. And now there's hundreds of people all over the world doing it.
Wow.
Oh,
And everybody thought I was mad because they said, first of all, nobody else apart from you is interested in this nonsense. Well, that's just not true. And they also always thought I was mad because I don't care about money. I'm not interested in money. There are all sorts of reasons that you should do things in life, and money isn't one of them. And
Wow.
lots of people thought I was some sort of authority-hating anarchist because I used to say that. Well, I am an authority-hating anarchist, but I still don't care about money. And all the stuff that I've done over the years is purely because I think it's good things to do, not because I want to be rich or famous. I'm certainly not rich. I've been more famous than I am now over the years, but I'm certainly not rich.
Wow.
Next
That
question, young man.
that's great, isn't it?
that's an amazing story to go from a complete breakdown to where you are now.
I love the fact that you had the thought and followed your passion and saw it through. I love that.
Well done. Yeah.
And now, Jill, I make no bones about this. I love working with your grandson. He's a wonderful young man. He's doing really good work. But one of my secret motivations for this is to teach him that money is pointless.
Yeah.
Money does not matter. Despite everything they tell you in the world, money is not a reason to do anything.
Absolutely. I think for Daniel, I think we would agree with him to follow a passion and to see where it leads him, to explore, to do it. And it's just amazing that, like we're able to support him in this. And having this group of people like yourself and the other lovely people we've met, it's just been overwhelming, really, to see that, like, your interest in him, you're wanting him
Yeah.
to pursue stuff, you're guiding him in the right way. It's just lovely that so many other, I mean, of course we do, he's ours, he's our family, but for people who didn't know him before, like you, it's wonderful, and we really appreciate it very much. Thank you.
And
And that's probably one of the only nice things I'm going to say to you.
I'm sure you'll say more nice things to me, Jill, my love. I've never heard you be rude to me yet, unlike your horrible grandson.
I know.
Well,
I know.
I can never point fingers in the right way to be able to. There he is, the horrible grandson. I can never get left and right on.
well, I think that's just mean.
I'm sure you can see we have the most amazing relationship with John. We love John.
Jill, did you just hear what John just said?
Oh, I called him a young oik. Your grandmother heard that. One of my great hobbies at the moment is making him laugh when we do live broadcasts.
Because it's hilarious, John.
I think that Daniel is a very special young man, and he's got a hell of a lot of potential. And if I can do anything in my own little way to bring out that potential, it will be my great privilege.
Wow, mate, thank you. Jill's frozen. Hold on a minute. There she is. She's back. Right.
Oh, technical hitch. Sorry.
Right. Let's get the interview back on track. So, John, thank you for what you just said. Did you want to repeat it to Jill?
I did catch all of it.
I can't remember what I just said.
Yeah, I did hear it. Just froze for just a few seconds, that's all.
Right.
I'm an old man. I don't remember these things. I don't remember what I did yesterday, let alone what I said just now.
Me too.
Right.
I sympathise. Yeah.
So
I can tell you wonderful things about my childhood in Hong Kong 60 years ago. I know that stuff.
Yeah.
I can't remember what I said 5 minutes ago.
So, John, I know you've written many books. So where did you get the inspiration to write these books?
Well, both my parents were authors. My mother did some books on because they lived in Nigeria before we went to Hong Kong, and she wrote various books for Nigerian school children to learn English, and she did some Nigerian folk stories, but translated into English. And my father wrote 3 or 4 or 5 books. So.
Oh.
I've done them all. I think the last count I've written or edited 30 something, but I can't tell you how many I've written.
Well, I can tell you that I definitely have one in my room, one or more. Yeah, so I definitely have one, and I have started reading it. I've just taken a pause. Let's say that. So let's move on. Let's move on to your cryptid sightings then. So I know you have sighted a big cat before. Could you tell us a little bit about that?
I've sighted 2, but the first one was a really crappy sighting. I was on the way back to my house in Exeter, where I used to live, from Brighton, I think it was. I went to a concert there with my wife, and we were driving back across the New Forest at night, and I saw this very large black cat-shaped creature for a few seconds in the side of the road. But my best sighting was at a place called Bolventor on Bodmin Moor in May 1997. And this is the embarrassing thing. It was a really good sighting. Everybody says, "Oh, I wish I had a camera." I had a camera. It was around my neck. I had a video camera. It was down with my dog on the passenger seat. And I was so completely blown away by the sight of this damn thing. I completely forgot I had a camera.
Oh,
Pictures. I don't know what the first one was because it was just black silhouetted against moonlight in a hedge. But the second one was a puma, probably slightly sub-adult puma because the feet were so big, and it had a long club tail. I didn't see its head, but I saw the rest of it walking slowly across the road. A
wow.
skinny
Wow,
pure.
that is
When
amazing.
I rushed up the road to see if there were footprints or anything, but it wasn't.
Oh,
There was
yeah.
nothing to leave footprints in, and I looked around and couldn't see anything, so I went home.
Wow.
Wow,
Gosh.
that's
So
amazing.
have there been stories, local stories around there about that? Because I know
Oh,
there is more
the Beast of
recently.
Bodmin. Yeah, the Beast of Bodmin's been
Yeah,
it's
I
been
wasn't
written
sure it
about
went back that
for,
far. Yeah.
oh Lord, yes, it goes back to late 60s, I believe. And
Wow.
Okay.
my sighting was right in the middle of a load of sightings by other people as well. So
Okay. Oh, interesting.
Do you
Wow.
think it was the same cat?
don't know.
Mm.
Okay.
I I don't know. I think there's quite a lot of evidence to suggest that they're breeding here.
I suppose they must be
Yeah.
to be, you know, all the different years and different sightings. There must be a reasonable breeding program for them, or
Yeah.
Mm.
you can't just. I don't know how long they live, but it's not.
In captivity, up to about 12 years. In the
Mm,
wild, usually about 3 years. But
yeah.
in
So
Britain, they haven't got any predators. The only
yeah,
predator, the only thing that could kill a big cat in Britain naturally is a human being either with a gun or with a car. And
yeah.
I'm
Mm.
still thinking that the definitive evidence, although we've had leopard hairs which were found and we had DNA tested and proved that they were leopard hairs, but
Wow.
Mm,
this was back in 2010. But I think the definitive evidence, which is going to be a dead panther or a dead puma, will happen because somebody will be driving too fast at night and you'll have a roadkill.
eventually, yeah.
Mm.
Something.
Yeah.
Yes.
And I'm still amazed that we haven't had roadkill yet.
Mm,
And to be quite
Mm-hmm.
honest,
Yeah.
that's what I think the definitive evidence in America for Bigfoot's going to be. It's going to be hit by a truck.
Yeah.
yeah. There's a lot of sightings there, isn't there, at night, crossing the road or
Mm.
at the side of a road.
Yeah.
So
Yeah, it's going
chances
to be
are
hit by
high.
a truck or it's going to be some idiot Republican shooting at it. Because there's
Yeah.
too many people who think it's the American way to be able to shoot anything you want. God bless America.
And
Mm.
I think
If you're watching this, anybody, and you remember the Republican Party and you're offended by what I just said, tough.
I will say, John, that makes me kind of one of the reasons on why I'm kind of going, do we actually want to find this creature? Or because us as humans are killing the earth.
Oh, of
We are, so I'm like, do we want to, yes, obviously for science and that we want to find this creature. And even, yeah, I do. But when
carry
you
on. I
actually.
just got somebody wanting to talk to me. I'm just telling them to go away.
That's okay, we'll carry on.
Carry on, you horrible
Um,
child.
um, so yeah, so that's why it kind of makes me go, do we just leave these creatures alone and do we not bother with them?
But it's the
Whether,
curiosity, isn't it? And that
yeah,
drives you, and it's going to drive lots of people. I don't think anyone will be happy until, well,
so it is.
yeah, till it's found, or certainly keep pursuing it. And you just
Yeah,
hope that there's enough of society that wants and can protect and help and
yeah,
just find out and not harm anything. The approach to some scientific things are quite brutal, aren't they? It's like,
yeah,
let's kill one and have a look at it, and that's horrendous.
yeah. Because at at the end of the day, my opinion is it's flesh and blood. I think your opinion, Joe, is flesh and
uh,
blood, and
that's my tendency. And I mean, after all the stuff we've done and all the people we've talked to,
mm,
I still haven't formed a solid opinion. I still
no,
keep a fairly open mind. Yes, I think it's more likely to be flesh and blood, but there's so many people out there that think it's some
mm.
kind of spiritual, paranormal, extra powers. I don't know. I
John,
don't think any of us.
that's one of the questions that I'm gonna skip ahead to as we're having this kind of conversation now. Do you think Bigfoot is flesh and blood or paranormal?
Both. And in America, I've been to some of the places where Bigfoot is reported in America, and
Mm.
as both a zoologist and a reasonably practical person, I can see that something flesh and blood could live there all the time.
Yeah.
Yeah.
There's also a reason why the ones that are found in Central Asia that we've been hunting over the years, there's every reason why there should be, why they could be flesh and blood.
Okay.
And
Mm.
because once upon a time there was a bridge, a land bridge across what's now the Bering Strait, linking Siberia to Alaska, there is every reason that they could have passed that.
Mm.
Mm.
I mean, I don't. Have you ever been to America? It's
Yeah.
bloody enormous,
Yes.
and there
Yes.
are
Yeah.
the parts of the Pacific Northwest, and even the places I went to in Texas. There's a swamp in Texas which is the size of Dartmoor, and there have been reports from there. It's absolutely enormous. It's in Orange County, and I've got a footprint from there that one of the researchers gave me. And I see no reason why these creatures, in the same way as a lot of other prehistoric creatures, crossed the land bridge from Asia
Yeah.
to America, there's
Mm.
no reason really why they shouldn't have been. However, some of the ones in North America do seem to have a weird, I hate the word paranormal, because I think paranormal is a stupid word because these things are perfectly normal. I hate supernatural as well. They're perfectly normal, they're perfectly natural. They're just defined by
Mm.
laws of physics we don't understand yet.
Yes.
But
Yeah.
when you're
Yeah.
talking
That's very
like
true.
about small woodlands, like the ones that you're working in,
Mm.
and like the one in which I saw a Bigfoot type thing, I'm not even going to call it a creature because I don't know what the hell it was. That was 20 years ago in 2003, and that was about 40 acres of woodland just 40 acres of woodland about 25, 30 miles north of Newcastle. There is no way that you can have a viable colony of an unknown higher primate of that size living in these sort of areas. But as you know, and I know, the evidence keeps on coming.
And
That's the confusing thing, isn't it?
I will say, I completely agree with you there, John. But opinions that I have had from a lot of other people is that maybe these creatures don't need a lot of forest to kind of live in. And this has come from some scientists and that think that. And I go, okay, well let's kind of consider if that's right, and what if it is right? Would it make sense?
It depends why they. Archibald, will you sit down, please?
Oh, bless.
For everyone who is listening to the audio podcast, John's dog just stood up in front of the camera. Very, very funny.
Worse,
Go
it
ahead,
stood
John.
up in front of the camera, farted very smellily, and then sat down again. Dogs really are revolting creatures, even though I love this little boy very much. I've completely lost where I was going then. I think that there is something. Daniel's laughing. Why are you laughing, Daniel?
You've set him off again, haven't you? You've done it again, John.
Oh God, and says the dog. Oof.
Oh.
You're going to edit all this out, aren't you, Daniel?
I hope so.
Anyway, I think that there is something about the physics of the UK books that we don't understand.
Yeah.
And the only way I can think that a Bigfoot type creature doesn't need that size of forest in the UK is if they're not here all the time. If somehow they're somewhere else a lot of the time. Don't ask where that somewhere is, or why, or how. But yes, Daniel?
Oh gosh.
Sorry, I just needed a second because you said a word that just makes me laugh.
What? Fart?
Yeah.
I don't know why the sound of me saying fart makes you laugh.
Daniel, you say it all the time.
I know, yeah. It's just, mate, you are funny sometimes. You are. So,
Well,
yeah,
by the way, as I'm sure your grandmother will attest, men never grow up.
Oh no.
And I am still basically about 12. I'm about your age, if not younger. The beard is deceptive. I have never really grown up. I still find naughty words amusing.
This is true in life, yes.
this is true. Yeah.
And girls are about 100 years old the moment they're born. Girls are never completely children. Guys are always partly children.
I take that as an insult, John.
No. It is my
truth.
I've been married
It is
twice
true.
and I have a granddaughter. I have 2 stepdaughters, 2 adopted daughters, and a granddaughter. And as far as chicks are concerned, sadly, I know what I'm talking about.
Okay, time to change the subject there, John. So.
Oh, Daniel, you dear sweet boy. I'm sorry, I'm a terrible person to interview.
Yep. So, What is the most What is the most
Take two.
Right.
Take three.
So, John, what was the most important advice you would give someone who may have a Bigfoot encounter?
Write down exactly what happened as quickly as you can, because the human mind is a weird thing and it can play tricks with you very easily. If you write something down as soon as it happens, rather than even waiting a few days later, your brain will already have tried to process what it's seen. And you want to write this down as soon as you possibly can. Take photographs and measurements of the whole area. If you've got footprints or something, always make sure when you've got a photograph of a footprint that you've got a ruler down the side of it, because
Yeah.
that'll give a scale.
Yeah.
Back in the bad old days, I used to always use for scale for footprints. I always used to use a cigarette packet because I used to smoke back then. I don't anymore. But a cigarette packet is the same all the way across the world. If you put a 50p piece in America, they don't know how big that is.
Oh,
Well, if
yeah.
you put a dime or a nickel, they don't know in this country exactly how big that is. But a packet of cigarettes, because most of the cigarette packets in the world are made by the same company, British American Tobacco. It's a really good scale thing, because
Yeah. Yeah.
all across the world people will know what you're talking about. Another
When
thing
That is
is
very,
a
very
when
true.
biro,
we
a biro pen,
when we
4.10.
go out when Daniel and I go out, we have a bag that is always packed with the same things, don't we? And that always
So we
includes at
do.
least two
So
rulers.
and this would be very, very useful to everyone out there. When you are packing to go out in the forest, me and Jill pack a DNA kit and a casting kit. So in the DNA kit we have sealable bags, small plastic tubes, and really all you really need for DNA is just the back. If you're only doing that and you're only starting off research, it would be a plastic bag and some gloves. Now
Just make sure
when
you don't contaminate anything, isn't it, with your
But
yeah,
no, add to that wet wipes, because if you picked up something and put it in with wearing your gloves and put them into the bag, then seal the bag, then wipe your hands down with wet wipes, because you never know, 5 minutes later you might find something else.
something else. Yes.
But if you're starting off, the cheapest thing to do with those, this is something I always use, is go to your local Tesco. The Tesco's ones are cheaper than the Sainsbury's ones, and get a packet of 50 Ziploc sandwich bags.
yeah,
Ziploc
and
is so much better than the ones that are supposedly easy to seal, because I can never do those. I always mess that up. But a Ziploc one that's got a little zip on it, I always find them fantastic. Back when I used to do
and
field work, I used to have a camera bag, which had, in fact, it was my going out bag. It had stuff for being in the field like that. It had my cameras and spare batteries in it, and just in case I was getting, now you're just going to laugh, Daniel, but I used to do a hell of a lot of television in those days. So I had a pack, or I had wet wipes, and I had a packet, and I had a box of makeup. So, because most of my face, as you've seen, is covered by hair. But I've got a full forehead which all shines against the cameras and looks stupid. So I've got makeup with powder and stuff to cover my face with. And then yes, Jill, is that funny?
No.
You want to share this with the rest of us, Jill?
Yeah,
Which I
please
used to
do.
do.
No,
And I used to have.
I've just got a vision of you like in the middle of the forest, like hold on a moment, just like touch up the makeup before I take a photo.
Pretty much. Because
I
back in
love
the old days, I used to sell the photographs, and if there was a photograph of me to go with a article I'd written, I wouldn't get my 150 quid unless the photographs were publishable quality.
Wow.
And now I have
Say
wet wipes to get it off because all the dust always gets in my pores.
that's why you need the wet wipes.
That's one of the reasons.
So to revert back to the equipment, the equipment, because I think it's a very, very important point to all new researchers out there, is if you get to the advanced point of things where you do have some cash, where you have your pocket money or money for doing chores, on Amazon there are little test tubes which I carry around. You can buy 20 for about £3. Those are brilliant. And they already have little labels on to organize your DNA very, very easily. And I always carry at least 2 pairs of scissors on me, for whatever. And that's my. I also carry spare labels and a pen in my DNA kit. So that's the DNA kit. And in the casting kit, which is always going to be used for footprints, I have a ruler that folds up. I have plaster of Paris, which is amazing when you get advanced, when you actually want to learn how to cast. And I know that Joe is thinking right now that it's very, very messy. She does all those jobs. That's not my job.
Can I say I use more wet wipes on cleaning myself up after using dust. It goes everywhere, in my hair, on my face.
And if you go online, you can actually find biodegradable ones that if you do drop or leave them there, they're not going to just litter the place.
Oh, I think that's an important thing as well, is not to leave anything there. We always do a sweep around, don't we, to make sure we've not left anything that should be there.
And also, to everyone, we kind of do movable base camps, which means we carry kind of tarpaulin, and it's about 2 meters by 2 meters. And when we sit down to eat or drink, because trust me, guys, when you're out in the forest, it is very, very tiring. We always check that we haven't left anything behind, because in the forest you can lose quite a lot. So all the important stuff stays on you at all times, definitely, especially your phone. Because cameras need to be out and ready just in case. So yeah, that's kind of,
a lot of photographs, don't we, and
Yeah.
video we try to take, so that at least when we come home we can kind of recreate it, remember what we saw.
and
Which reminds me, Daniel, totally changing the subject. Well, it's not really totally changing the subject. Dave Scott, who runs CFZ Canada, is doing a fundraiser for equipment for both Canada and UK. And he's going to, if you get a message on Facebook from Dave Scott, it's okay, he's one of the good guys. He's trying to get you a body cam like police have, because he says really good, because you'll see things like you can then photograph things you wouldn't have seen out of the corner of your eye.
Wow,
that's amazing.
that is amazing. Yes.
Well, yeah, John, can
Gosh.
you thank him for me? And I
I
will.
will. He's probably going to contact you in the next few days or next week or something.
Oh, amazing. So
But
yeah,
going back to your equipment, 2 more things you need: magnifying glass,
Yes, we take that. Yeah.
and a pair of forceps. but you don't need big surgical forceps. You can just get the ones that are £2.50 at a supermarket for people to pluck their eyebrows with and stuff.
Yes, yes. Again, you did you sent off for a set, didn't you? And it came with various sizes tweezers, which we found
Yeah.
useful.
Say
We did find them very useful.
it's to everyone out there, because we are gonna have to unfortunately end this interview in a minute, but
We haven't got past the first question. You were right.
to to everyone out there, guys, equipment is probably the most you need to be prepared. If you're going out in the forest properly investigating, then you need to kind of do a bit of research. Now, if you're starting like what John started or what we've started, we did experience weeks. So we did some we started a project, didn't we, Joe, called Expedition Deer, and we went out looking for deer as it was Bigfoot, and we were going out finding footprints, casting footprints, measuring footprints, going out trying to find hair, and eventually it did pay off. We found 3 deer. One barked at us. An amazing moment, wasn't it, Jill?
It was,
It
was a
yeah.
funny moment.
Well, we can't tell half story. The other partner who was with me at that point, my granddad, said that the deer had a cough, and I was on the camera and going, and I just burst out laughing because it was funny.
The whole video is shaking up and down because he's laughing so much. Doesn't take much
Was
to
it
set
very
him off.
small, the deer?
Sorry.
Well, was the deer very, very small? No, it wasn't really. It
No,
was
no, it's a fair
a
size
large
one.
one.
I was wondering if it was a muntjac, because muntjac are also known as barking deer.
Ah, it
Wow.
looked pretty normal for the deer that are on the contacts. I
Row.
don't, I'm no expert, but I
Mm.
think it looked, pretty much the same as any other photos I've seen of the deer up there.
Yeah, that experience really helped us, because now when we're out in the field actually looking for Bigfoot and looking for these cryptids, we know what we're doing. And trust me, it really helps, because you'll know your way around. So my advice to everyone out there is go out for a day or so and just gain those skills before you go out, because it will really, really help you. Now,
I've just thought of something else you ought to have. Being totally sensible, and I think you can get them for under 20 quid. Get a GPS locator. So you know exactly where you are when you go back home and plot it onto Google Earth or onto an ordnance survey map.
Wow.
Yeah.
Say, I have created a map of the forest and all the things we found.
But if you have a GPS locator, that means it's about the size of the handle of my hairbrush. It's only about that big.
Okay.
And it costs about 20 quid or under, and it will tell you exactly where you are on the global grid.
Wow, amazing.
Useful.
Yeah. My last thing on that GPS side of things. Everyone who's out there, download the app. What 3 words for when you're out in the forest, because it is an amazing app for if you get into trouble and you ring, they can zoom in and you're in a square, which means they can locate you immediately. So so anytime you're out in the forest and you get lost, that app will really help. But for now, I want to say thank you so much to our guest Jonathan Downs, who has been very, very funny this evening. I'll say that.
Thank you very much,
Funny?
John. Oh,
Me?
always a pleasure.
I'm not. I'm droll. I am very serious about life.
We know.
Yeah.
It's been absolutely lovely. It's
Yeah,
lovely talking to you.
amazing.
Been lovely talking
So
to you. Do you want me to come back at some point and answer the other questions that you forgot to ask me?
yes, I would be delighted to have you back, John. Yes. So guys, this episode was recorded probably about 4 or 5 weeks ago now. But still, please ask John any questions. And you can comment or you can go through us and we will get you to John. But thank you so much, John, and thank you, Jill, for helping us co-host
You're very
this
welcome.
this episode. Thank you.
I put it the other way around. I think thank you very much, Jill, for hosting, and I'm sorry that you had to put up with that little oik. See, I've made you
I'm
laugh.
sad now.
No, you're not.
So, to everyone, don't forget to subscribe to the CFZ YouTube channel, and don't forget to find them on Facebook, and don't forget to subscribe to our YouTube channel. And don't forget this podcast is on audio as well, so it'll be on Spotify, Amazon, Apple Podcast, etc., etc.
And when does your podcast network start?
So the podcast network would have started probably 2 weeks ago from when this episode has been released. So yeah, but thank you so much to everyone, and we as the Mythical Legends podcast shall see you soon. Keep searching and stay mythical.